Well, welcome. We are back with working on one of the C's of the 4 C's, collaboration. We have the business and education community. Would all my business members stand up, please? Thank you very much. Would all my education members please stand up? When I was a small child, my mother used to tell me it took 2 to tango, so I'm not sure what that meant, but thank you all for being here. We've got 2 of you anyway. The centerpieces this morning have been furnished by the Cary High School FFA, Charity Brewer and her group, so thank you very much for that. Now, one of the things that's new to a senior citizen such as myself is I was told that if you all are interested, we are tweeting today. And so if you get excited and want to tweet, it's hashtag STC Breakfast 2017. So get the word out that there's a group of educators and business people. It's a conspiracy, but we think it's a successful one. So get the word out there. We have had an event this year in Wake County Public Schools. I've been doing this for a few years. I'm Bill Seiler, and I think I'm on my 4th CPE director. They keep retiring, and I don't. So this past year, David Wiebe, at the end of August, retired, and Wake County Public School did a great search and found a very able replacement. Joanne Honeycutt is here with us today, and we thank Joanne. This is Joanne's 2nd day on the job, so she's getting immersed. So, you know, everybody be sure to come up and introduce yourself to her so she'll know who you all are. I'm sure she'll remember everybody. We also have some school board members with us today, and we always appreciate them being with us. Christine Kushner, Jim Barton, and Bill Fletcher. And, oh, they didn't give me your name, Roxy. I apologize. So we appreciate them coming out and supporting our program as well. Also, the School to Career Council, if all of those that are here today would please stand up, I'd like to recognize you all. Now, Brian didn't stand up, but he's on the School to Career Council, and Drew didn't either. And we have business and education. Educators, it takes 2 to tango, whatever that means. Last year, we did a little bit of a break or a change of our routine, and we got everybody, and those of you who were here last year, remember we did a roundtable. And at the end of the session, we got some information from you all, and there was 4 questions, and we had the CDCs and CACs and some other school administrators facilitate each table, and they got all of your all's input. And so we worked on another C last year, and that was critical thinking and creativity. So we got on 2 C's. So we got some input there from y'all for 2 of the C's. And so what we have did after that is we took the School to Career Council and we took all the data and we kind of highlighted the 3 or 4 top categories that came out of those discussions. And they're being displayed on the screen. I tell people that I'm a graduate of Virginia Tech, and when I got to be a junior, they actually taught me to read. And so I get frustrated when people read slides to me, since I learned to read. And so I'm not going to read the slides to you. I'm going to let you look at the slides and see what the questions were, to remind you if you were here, or if you weren't here, you can see what the questions were and see what the data showed. And then what the school system did was they took all this information and they went back and they talked to their CDCs, CACs, CPE people, and they got some input as to what kinds of things could we do to address some of these. And it's pretty impressive. I've got a list, it's about 5 pages long, and different schools are doing different things, and they're trying some different approaches, and then they're going to kind of look back on that and analyze that. In my total quality days, we talked about PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, and Act. And so that is what they're attempting to do, is to look at this data and see what works. But just real quick, I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that are going on. We're focused on internships, and you'll see a little bit of that a little bit later in Wanda's report. They brought in some motivational speakers to get the students more engaged. They've done some career interest inventories and assessments for all the freshmen. Several schools have started and adopted a mentoring process, and one of the individuals that's being recognized today has been doing a lot of that, so you'll see some of that. A renewed focus on soft skills. I don't think we can make enough to do over soft skills. Every business person that we talk to talks about soft skills. And being in the construction industry, it was kind of interesting, and also being involved in ACE mentoring. Tom Gilbane, who's the CEO and chairman of Gilbane Construction, said that one of the things that they're doing, since they can't get enough construction professionals, is they're actually recruiting liberal art majors, because they found that liberal art majors have such great soft skills, so much better than their construction people. And Tom said, and I can teach somebody how to build, but I can't teach them how to be nice. So it's kind of interesting, that the whole soft skills and how important and critical that is. They've done diversity training with career academies, industry tours and job shadowing experiences, and again, you'll see that in Wanda's report. They've done some social media etiquette presentation in the classrooms, and again, in our age of social media, we're seeing that people oftentimes don't think before they engage their fingers. I was always told I didn't think before I engaged my mouth, but now it's fingers. So anyway, personal branding and training presentations has been done for all seniors. Middle school students are working with elementary school students on to bring the reality of things. Brentwood Elementary had the opportunity to do some a tornado class with the middle school. Sophomore academy students are doing something that's pretty interesting. They're doing a book study with Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point. And if you haven't had a chance to read that, it's a pretty interesting book, but it's great to see high school students doing that. So there's a lot of things that are going on within the school system that I think are extremely positive, and that they will continue to look at how all this works and how it's been implemented. So the message I want to leave with you is that you were heard. We appreciated what you did last year, staying with us a little bit later and taking the time to give us some, what we thought was excellent feedback. So thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause for all of us. One of the exciting things about this program is that we always get to hear from the head individual of Wake County Public Schools. And as many of you know, this is Dr. Merrill's 4th year as superintendent. He's a visionary leader that has worked with his team and the people of Wake County to put together Vision 2020, which has a focus on our graduation rate, but I think more importantly, has a focus on having students prepared for careers or post-secondary engagement, as well as being productive citizens. So I think that's really critical, that we're looking at the whole individual and not just the number of graduation rate. As you know, he was the 2017 Superintendent of the Year. And as I tell people when I talk about him, I said he's a little bit like some of these baseball pitchers, Cy Young Award winners, you know, the ones that are recognized for being such great pitchers. And you oftentimes hear that they won the Cy Young Award when they were in the American League, and then they won the Cy Young when they were in the National League. So Dr. Merrill has the opportunity, he has won Superintendent of the Year in both North Carolina and in Virginia. So he's a Cy Young Award winner and the Superintendent. He's been engaged in education for a lot of years. When you get to be our age, you don't tell all those years, but he's got lots of good experience. And the other thing that I tell people is when you look up school superintendent in the dictionary, right there's a picture of Dr. Merrill. He's the guy. So he is unquestionably the man and the legend, and I'm going to let you hear from him.
So, Bill, you made reference to liberal arts, and I'm a liberal arts major, but does that mean I have to be nice? All right. So, good morning. Glad to be with you and a part of this celebration and recognition this morning. In fact, I'd like to begin by calling out several of you with a special thank you, starting with Bill himself, and I'm going to name for his 22 years of leadership as chair of the School to Career Council. Thank you, sir. As some of you know, Bill and former Alliance Chair Jerry O'Connor are being inducted into the Wake County Public School System Hall of Fame next month. Wanda Denning, who's now serving as co-chair of the School to Career Council, was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. So to have three of them inducted over 2 years really demonstrates, I think, passion and the dedication of our School to Career volunteers who are working to make our system even better than it already is. Thanks to all our Business Alliance members, Career Academy Advisory Board members, Career Advisory Team members, and business partners that support our middle and high schools. A lot of moving parts in those young people from about 13 to 18, and you really help us a lot with that. Our students benefit because of your work with our principals, administrators, CDCs, Career Academy CDCs, Career Advisory Team lead teachers. Lastly, I'd like to thank the Athens Drive High School Chamber Winds for this morning's entertainment, the Middle Creek High School Digital Media Career Academy for recording this morning's event, and PNC Arena for donating this wonderful venue. Musicians either are eating or are on their way back to school, one or the other. But I do appreciate that. They were good. This morning I want to return to a topic I discussed with you last year, specifically the district's Vision 2020 strategic plan, and Bill has made reference to it, and some of the slides did as well. Approved by the Board of Education in January of 2015, the plan is truly a community effort and one that we believe has the potential to greatly improve results for our students and thus the families and then overall our community. If you remember only one thing about my comments this morning, recall that this plan is built upon our community's understanding that graduates today require skills far beyond the types that can be measured solely by standardized exams, and Bill made reference to some of those skills. You know this as employers. Our teachers know it, our principals understand it. Even students appreciate that it's not what they know, it's what they can do with what they know that will determine their success after graduation. So we built the plan upon something we call the 4 C's, which is immediately apparent in our mission statement. And if you're not sort of an internal customer, an employee at Wake, but you're a supporter, how many of you could name all 4 C's? Raise your hand. I won't call on you. How many could name 2 of the 4 C's? Okay, we've got more work to do, clearly. And one is collaboration, so you need to pay attention so we can collaborate. At any rate, our mission statement does include that. The Wake County Public School System will provide a relevant and engaging education and will graduate students who are collaborative, creative, effective communicators, and critical thinkers. Underline the C's in each of those 4 words and you've got it, all right? There are your 4 C's. I want to repeat the phrase about students who are collaborative, creative, effective communicators, and critical thinkers. It's an overworked phrase in America right now, the 4 C's, but our community, while they didn't necessarily know that they were referring to the 4 C's, it was clear that this was a whole secondary level of expectation for our students as they walked across the stage at the convention center or the other facilities. If I could guarantee the business community that every one of your employees possessed those 4 skills, that they knew how to work together, creatively identify and then solve problems, apply critical analysis in solving those problems, and then communicate their ideas, if they could do that, I'm confident that the end of year test scores for you wouldn't be quite as critical, although we live with them and we recognize that. I don't want to suggest that we don't care at all about test scores. They have their place, but we are far more concerned about graduating students with a broad range of skills based upon fundamentals, but the use and the ability to understand what those skills mean and how to apply them in their lives. We have good news on that front. Our graduation rate is again the highest in the school system's history, at now 88.6, marking a steady increase that began in 2013. We've continued to rise, and every year it's been the high water mark for our graduation rate. Improvement in the rates of low-income students and African-American students are significantly larger. The rates are larger than that of the general student population, so that is a closing of a gap. Those students are rising faster in terms of graduation rates than the total average. A lot of statistics, I'm not hitting you with those this morning. More than 2/3 of the Wake County Public School System's 30 high schools have a graduation rate already higher than 90%. And in some of our schools, the rates have made a steady climb 10 percentage points in more in the past years. I want to pause a minute because it's not just about pushing students across the stage and handing them a diploma. What is their preparation? What are they prepared to do? So there is quality attached to the quantity of that measure as well, and it's in our goal. And I always want to remind folks of that. Anyone can probably push the number up, but we don't do so by sacrificing the quality of how we prepare our students. Clearly, you folks help us with that quality and that preparation. Graduation rate is something we track closely because our strategic plan has just one main goal. By 2020, WCPSS will annually graduate at least 95% of its students ready for productive citizenship as well as higher education and/or career. The plan also has 5 strategic objectives that align with that goal, and I want to reemphasize an objective I mentioned last year, and Bill made reference to it, and that's community engagement. I emphasize this because there is one group in particular that's critical to the success of our community engagement. I'm talking about those of you in the room today, and those of you back in your offices and your locations that support you in this work as well. I'm not simply offering platitudes here. Our data is clear that when businesses are directly engaged in our programs, the graduation rates of our students are significantly higher. Let me be more specific. The graduation rate for the students involved in the programs you support is more than 98%. What a difference. What a difference that makes. And our students who were CTE concentrators had a 98.2 graduation rate. There's not a lot of room left to work on that. These students have already met and exceeded the minimum standard that our community set for the district's strategic plan. If we increase the number of students that concentrate in an area of study, we can make a strong impact on the overall graduation rate and future success. So obviously our interest is in increasing students' engagement in these activities that you support. It's the message I want to leave you with this morning. Know that your efforts matter. Your time this morning and joining us for a little bit of recognition is just a small way of saying thank you for what you do. As Bill has already mentioned, we did something a little different at our gathering. It was unique last year and proved to be quite good for the system. There's a lot more information that didn't make slides that we continue to use and fold into our strategic plan, initiatives, strategies, ideas. But in closing, I want to mention that our keynote speaker today, Ms. Adrienne Cole, CEO of the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce, while we have very different job titles, Adrienne and I share one very important goal: to help employers succeed in Wake County. You will be hearing from her shortly, and I know you'll be impressed. Thank you again for your invitation and attention this morning, and I know you'll enjoy the rest of the program. So it is my pleasure at this time to introduce Wanda Denny. She is highly recognized within the school system. for her passion and dedication to our students. I knew Wanda when I was here in a previous life, and it was good to see that she was still engaged when I returned. She's the Southern Region Business Alliance Chair and is currently the Business Alliance Chair and Co-Chair of the School Career Council. I see Wanda everywhere, and she remains very engaged and very busy. Last year, she was elected to the Wakehead Partnership Hall of Fame as a result of all the volunteer time she's provided over the course of the last 30 years. So let me present Wanda Denning of Grocery Boy Jr. to provide our audience some great statistics of what's occurring in the school career arena of the school system. Wanda.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Merrill, for that introduction. Each year, we solicit data for our school career initiative. My charge today is to share some of that data with you. This first slide reflects the number of contacts that middle and high school students had with School to Career Initiative last year. More than 220,000 middle and high school contacts were reported. We had over 15,000 adult volunteers involved with our schools and the School to Career activities. Many of you in this room are responsible for these numbers. So, what are some of the work-based learning experiences that our students had? As you see from this slide, our internship, apprenticeships, and job shadowing experiences are getting some of our students into the business environment so they can start doing career exploration based on their interest. However, we need more experiences like these so that all of our students that are in high school can have these experiences. For our middle school students, we would like to see more of our students having opportunities for off-site learning experiences to learn about the different careers in the world of work. These types of experiences have a lasting impact on our students, as you will hear a little later when we have our students come and speak to us. We currently have 18 career academies in Wake County, and in this school year, 2017-2018, we'll be adding a print and advertising. Added it this year, yeah, this school year. I just won't look at you. We will be adding a print and advertising career academy at Inlet. We want to continue to expand the career academies across the county. Career academies, for those of you that don't know, are smaller cohort learning communities within a school that focus on specific career themes and integrate the students' CTE activities with their core curriculum. Academy students participate in many work-based learning activities such as job shadowing, career fairs, career-themed industry tours, and internships. All students in the academies have to do a 135-hour internship by their senior year. Soft or applied skills, that you heard Bill mention, are integrated throughout the curriculum of our academies. Each career academy has an advisory board made up of business volunteers and higher education representatives for a specific career. They work with the career academy coordinator, the students, and the academy teachers to help support that career academy. Are career academies successful? You bet they are. Our career academies had a 99.7% graduation rate last year. Dr. Merrill mentioned CTE concentrators. CTE concentrators in Wake County last year did have a 98.2% graduation rate. CTE concentrators are those students who have taken 4 or more CTE courses in a career cluster or a pathway, with at least one of those courses being a second level course. This data shows us that when students are concentrating in a particular area of study, graduation rates are higher, and the potential for future success is great. Career Academy students had a higher attendance percentage. This slide and the ones that follow reflect Career Academy students compared to non-academy students in the same school or in school with career academies and in all Wake County high schools as a whole. Overall, biology end-of-course test proficiency is higher for our Career Academy students. End-of-course sophomore English 2 scores are also higher. Here you see the comparison of the ACT scores for Career Academy juniors. The ACT plan is given to all 10th graders, and it's a great way for them to prepare for the ACT test that they take as juniors. This slide shows the Career Academy 10th graders ACT plan score. Again, it's higher. Thank you for letting me share just a little bit of our data with you this morning. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our student speakers. And I want to go ahead and introduce both of them, and then they'll come up one after another and speak. Our first speaker is Diana Law. She's a 9th grader at Wake Early College of Health Sciences. She's a former student of Heritage Middle School where she was very active in various clubs. She was an active member of Future Business Leaders of America, where she competed and won events. She also served as vice president and president of FBLA. Diana was an active member of Family Career Community Leaders of America, where she also competed and won events. She was a member of the National Junior Honor Society, where she actively participated in community service projects. One of her hobbies is volunteering to help others. She's taking her leadership role to Wake Early College by joining the Health Occupation Student Association, American Red Cross, the Key Club, and the Art Club. She's a busy young lady. She's the oldest of 3 children. She has younger twin brothers. And she is here today with her mom, who loves to chaperone field trips, or as we say in school-to-career, off-site learning experiences, or OLEs. The second speaker this morning is Ahmad O'Day. Ahmad is a senior at Athens Drive Magnet High School. He is the Executive Student Board President of Health Science Academy. He has had many work-based learning and philanthropic experiences that has led him down his path to a career in health care. He plans to attend NC State University, go Wolfpack, and study biomedical engineering. Please join me in welcoming Diana and Ahmad.
Good morning. My name is Diana Law, and I was a middle schooler at Heritage Middle School in Wake Forest just last month before I started high school at the Wake Early College of Health and Science. Attending an early college high school and standing in front of you today wouldn't be possible without my active participation in the Career and Technical Education program at Heritage. I remember the first day of 6th grade as Ms. Emmons introduced me to this club that allows students to participate in community service, business tours, leadership activities, and competitive events at the regional and state level. It sounded fun, so I thought, why not give it a try? So that night, I asked my mom for $10, and the next day I joined the Future Business Leaders of America. My very first year of FBLA, I placed top 10 in the middle school recognition testing at the regional level. At the state conference, I placed 2nd in keyboarding applications 1 and proficiency in digital literacy. My second year of FBLA, I served as a chapter president, and at the state leadership conference in Greensboro that year, I won first place in keyboarding applications 2. In 8th grade, I continued to serve as a chapter president for FBLA, and at state, I was a Triangle East region finalist for a t-shirt contest. I placed top 10 in Microsoft Office recognition testing and 3rd place in computer slideshow. In 8th grade, I also joined a National Junior Honor Society, where acceptance is based on the 5 principles of character, citizenship, leadership, service, and scholarship. I also joined the Heritage Yearbook Club and the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, both clubs that were just started at Heritage that year. When I found out that in FCCLA, most of the competitions were orally given in front of judges at the state conference, I was terrified, but I knew I was well prepared and I could win and maybe even advance to nationals. Of course, there were times when preparing for competition, I got really scared, nervous, and wanted to quit. But with the skills I learned at FBLA, the advice from Ms. Lee, my advisor, and most importantly, the constant practice, I was determined to stay and kept on preparing for competition. During competition at the state conference in April, I knew I was slowly getting nervous because as my presentation went on, I was starting to talk faster, make less eye contact with the judges, and my voice was getting raspy because I had a sore throat. But since I prepared an excellent portfolio, which helped me with my score, I finished with third highest score in the state, winning gold. Each conference I attended, state or regional, helped me grow as a person outside of school, in school and outside of school. The conference I attended had many useful workshops that taught me many important life skills. My two most favorite workshops were Reality of Money, which was an interactive financial simulation that teaches teens the importance of money as we soon turn into financially independent young adults, and the second one being slogan making, where we would explore marketing and the makings of a slogan. The most impacting workshop that I attended was public speaking, where we learned tips and tricks on how to better engage the audience, speak in front of an audience when surrounded by our peers or in front of a large crowd. Looking back to when I first started middle school and where I am now, I see that I have become much more comfortable with public speaking through the many experiences I had, and I'm still learning every day on how to become a better public speaker. In middle school, I took a total of 5 semester-long CT electives that taught me many skills that I find already useful in high school, at home, and one day at college and in the workforce. Computer skills applications taught me how to touch type while increasing my speed and keeping good accuracy. Basic word processing skills and formatting skills for emails, tables, reports, letters, etc. Advanced computer skills applications use the touch typing skill I learned in CSA to learn more Microsoft Office applications such as Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. In exploring career decisions, I explore various careers and their aspects, including a job outlook, salary, education, and required skills for a job. In class, I completed a personality survey to determine my learning style and saw how this kind of information can influence my career choice. We also learned job searching techniques and how to create a cover letter, resume, and how to complete a job application. Exploring facts family focus allowed me to explore interpersonal relationships, nutrition and wellness, and child development. We also had an opportunity for Red Cross babysitter certification, and in exploring facts, consumer focus, I learned about personal finance, food service, hospitality, apparel, and interior design. We had an opportunity to earn a certification in personal finance literacy and a North Carolina food handler certification. FBLA will provide the opportunity to apply essential standard workplace readiness skills through authentic experiences which include travel, was how they described FBLA on a sheet that had like a description of electives. And I couldn't agree more with that statement because FBLA has given me so many opportunities to apply skills I learned in school and my elective classes to real-world situations, turning them to valuable experiences. It made my middle school experience one that I can never forget. All the skills I learned in career and technical education classes today, I already used in high school, and I know I'll use them for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Six foot 3 is an amazing height. Good morning. Thank you all for having me here. It was a great excuse to get out of class, and so sorry, Principal Maris. So a week before my freshman year, I walked into Athens Drive High School to choose my classes for the year. The first question my counselor asked me was what I had a passion for. Immediately I responded, the medical sciences. He then pulled out a chart that showed all the classes for the Health Science Academy and asked me if I would be interested in joining. Little did I know at that moment by saying yes, I had opened multiple doors to opportunities that the average high school student does not even think about. My freshman year, I learned about the history of medicine from Hippocrates to the development of new medical technology like Da Vinci surgical robots. My junior year, I was given a plethora of opportunities. From November to March, I participated in an internship at Wake Med with the MyChart program. The MyChart program, during the MyChart internship, my fellow students and I would go to patient rooms and introduce the MyChart program to them, which would allow patients to view medical history, view test results, and contact their physicians if they had any questions. During my MyChart internship, my supervisor asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. Passionately, I responded, cardiothoracic surgeon. She then offered me to shadow the chief medical officer of Wake Med, who's also a cardiothoracic surgeon. In awe, I immediately accepted her offer, of course. And in mid-June, I started my shadowing under Dr. Haar. Under Dr. Haar, I viewed many cardiovascular and thoracic cases, both in the operating room and in the clinic. An important lesson I learned from Dr. Haar was that in order to be a doctor, you have to realize that you're not treating the disease, but you're treating the patient himself or herself. When someone comes to a hospital, they're usually at a very low point in their life. They require lots of assistance from a wide variety of medical professions. I also learned that in order to be a doctor, you have to be very emotionally stable. When someone would come into the clinic and Dr. Haar would look at them and say, you know, I'm very sorry, but the tumor that you have in your chest cavity is cancerous, which unfortunately happened many times, I had to realize that I couldn't let out my own emotions. I couldn't cry. I couldn't, pat him on the back and say, hey, I'm sorry. Just the reality of being a doctor. Although I saw many patients cry tears of sadness, I saw many more cry tears of joy. Seeing Dr. Haar tell a patient that a tumor was non-cancerous or that an operation was successful made me realize why I aspire to be a doctor. While shadowing Dr. Haar, I also completed another internship at NC State's biomechanics lab. At NC State, I assisted graduate students in the research of diseases that impact movement, like neonatal brachial plexus injury. Neonatal brachial plexus injury, or NBPI, is a disease that occurs at childbirth. As a child is being delivered, their arm can get stuck on the birth canal and cause an impingement of their brachial plexus, which can cause complete or partial loss of function in their arm. From all these experiences, I have learned that learning outside the classroom is just as important as learning inside the classroom. These internships have allowed me to grow not just as a student, but as a person overall. The internships that I have completed are just a few of the opportunities that Athens Drive and Wake County Public Schools offer their students that allow them to grow and learn outside the classroom. Without the Health Science Academy, I would not have had the opportunity to intern at NC State's Department of Biomedical Engineering, one of the programs I'm applying to attend next fall. I'd like to give a special thanks to all of you, but especially Ms. Holsey, Ms. Worrell, Ms. Packett, and Principal Mares. I will go back to class after this. Thank you for your time.
Well, as usual, I'm speechless. These students are unbelievable. And as I think I've said in past years, they're at a whole lot different place than I was when I was in their age. So it's good to see. As Dr. Merrill mentioned earlier in his comments, we have a very prominent keynote speaker with us today. I happen to have had the opportunity to work with Adrian a few years back. Adrian's whole career had been in economic development, And apparently one morning, she drank something for breakfast that caused her to go haywire, and she came into the world of construction. And the thing that was amazing about Adrian in those days was that she was able to help us in construction get much better. She did an amazing job working with us. When she was named the CEO, she was the first woman in the history, the 129-year history of the chamber to be named to that position, which I think speaks volumes about Adrian, and when you hear her speak, you will know if you haven't had the opportunity to already hear her. But in her role in the economic development world, she has worked to secure and improve state and local economic development incentives. As the RDU board member, she got the Delta flight nonstop from Paris to Raleigh. And when you hear the airport people, or Raleigh to Paris, I guess. But when you hear the airport people talk about the economic impact of that flight, it's pretty phenomenal as to what it's done for our community. She recruited Campbell Law School, who moved from little tiny Boones Creek into downtown Raleigh. And when you hear the story of all the things that she did, I mean, there's nothing that she wouldn't do to help make that possible. So she'll go to any length to get the goal accomplished. She also facilitated Red Hat's expansion here in the Raleigh area. And that's just a few of the highlights. But one of the things that I find very important and that I admire most about Adrian is that she's a very successful professional lady. But when you hear her talk, her family is her priority. And her husband Walt and her 3 children, all 3 of which attend Wake County Public Schools. 2 of them are at Broughton High School and one's at Underwood Elementary. She just glows. And so I know that trying to balance the life that she has with her professional requirements, with her family requirements is tough, but she does a great job. And when you get to know her and talk to her, you see that she really does put an emphasis on the family side of things, and I think that's really important. Really does love her kids and her husband. He seems to be okay too. One of the things that I think I would be remiss if I didn't point out is that she grew up in North Carolina. She grew up in New Bern, and she matriculated here to Raleigh, and up the street here she graduated from Meredith College. And then she did a master's degree at Appalachian State in public administration, and then got into the economic development world. But while she was in college, a lot of people probably don't know this, Adrian was a lead singer in a band. And Adrian has got a great set of pipes. And you're getting ready to just hear the low end of the spectrum. But I would like to welcome Ms. Adrian Cole, Chamber of Commerce CEO.
Thank you very much. You know, you just don't ever know what Bill's going to say. So I appreciate that very much. And I also learned the lesson today of not following Diana and Ahmad. My goodness gracious, we have such impressive students in Wake County Public Schools. So I am really humbled and honored to be with you today. You know, I look out into this crowd and I see so many familiar faces and friends. And really, so many of you could give the talk that I'm going to give today. But first and foremost, I appreciate and applaud your dedication to our community and to our children and to our schools and to our business community. So thank you very much for what all of you do every single day. I would love to give you a round of applause for that. Thank you. So I want to start by sharing the vision statement for the Raleigh Chamber and telling you a little bit about what we do and why I felt like it was so important to be with you here today. So the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce is the major catalyst and community consensus builder, creating a vibrant, diverse, and sustainable business climate that encourages job growth, workforce development, and economic prosperity, and affirms the Triangle as the country's best region for quality of life. So why does that all matter? At the Chamber, we focus on economic development. As Bill shared, before becoming the CEO, was the Executive Director of Wake County Economic Development, which is a program of the Raleigh Chamber. We have an initiative through the Wake County Economic Development Program called Work in the Triangle. And it's about talent, and it's about creating talent, and it's about not only recruiting and retaining talent in our market, but growing talent, which is what you all are doing every single day. I will share with you that to a company, so we have 40 active projects right now, and when I say a project is active, I mean that these are companies that we are actively in dialogue with on a daily basis, with the potential to create thousands of jobs and millions of dollars of investment in our community. The very first question they always ask us about is talent. The ability to hire talent today and the ability to have talent that they need in 10, 15, 20 years. We have to grow our own talent here to be successful and to be able to answer those questions effectively. I know that many of you probably heard about a little company called Amazon that's looking around. Their very first question is talent. They want to understand, can they find the talent that they need in our market? They're also asking questions about cost of doing business and culture and sites and buildings and all those other puzzle pieces. But the first question is talent. At the Chamber, we also focus on transportation needs. We focus on government affairs and public policy. We very often engage with you all with school bond referendums and things like that, helping to get the vote out for those important initiatives. We work with small businesses and entrepreneurs. So lest you think my job is very glamorous, I tell people I do everything from potholes to headquarters, and it's true. So we work with companies meeting their needs throughout the region, really, and helping them to address what they have going on. Now, Bill mentioned that I am a mother of 3. I understand the importance of educators. This is my crowd there. There's only 3 of them. There's just multiple pictures of several of them. My team helped me put this together. Many of you in the room know them. So Will is a junior at Broughton High School, Will Cole. He loves history, which was surprising to me, and environmental science, and he's an avid golfer and just has so much empathy. He's just a very empathetic 16-year-old, which I think is saying a lot for a 16-year-old. Sundon has carried a monkey wrench around in her back pocket since she was born. She's 14 years old. She is a dynamo. She has just made the JV cheerleading team at Broughton, but loves to sing and dance and had the great fortune of having teachers in the Wake County Public School System who recognized her special spark and really have helped facilitate and grow that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And little Anderson is my 9-year-old at Underwood. He's a 4th grader, and he's my chief advisor. I will share with you a quick story. So on Thursday, we had our annual meeting at the Chamber. And it was my first annual meeting as the new president and CEO of that organization. And I was a little nervous. And so as I pulled out of the Broughton parking lot after dropping Will and Sundon off, I said to Anderson, who was in the back seat, "Buddy, I'm telling myself I'm not nervous. I'm just hoping I believe myself." And he says, "Mom, here's what you gotta do." I said, "Okay." He said, "Pretend you're not the CEO, and pretend that you're just doing a normal presentation, for 50 or 100 people. You do that all the time. You'll be fine. That's all you need to do." And I thought, that's some good advice. So before I was going on stage in front of 800 people for my first annual meeting, I had little Anderson in the back of my mind. So, they are why I get up every day. And, what we do for our kids, what you all do for our kids, is so incredibly important. I mentioned pushing them to discover their spark and then feeding that spark and developing those skills, both in the classroom and then outside of the classroom with the business leaders that help them identify and figure out what matters to them. Danny Yancey at Martin Middle School understood what Sundon needed early on and had made her feel very, very special, and helps her foster that in her. But you know what? As special as he makes her feel, he makes all of his students feel that way, and that's remarkable. So the trust culture and the talent pipeline. So we're all trusting each other to work together to help our children move forward and to facilitate that spark. I really consider the talent pipeline parents, teachers, professors, and the workforce. So that education in the classroom and outside of the classroom, it's why that partnership is so very important. So we have to address the skills gap, and I'm not going to share anything with you all today that we haven't already been talking about all morning. But what's interesting, and we've been working with Ted Abernathy, who I know you all are familiar with, in sort of further defining the skills gaps that we're addressing in this country. They're very often called soft skills. But in working with Ted, we're breaking them down into additional categories and bringing in some clarity. Looking at basic knowledge, life skills, work skills, job skills, and future skills. And how all of those categories are important for creating the workforce of the future, but not just the workforce of the future, meaningful careers for our students. So let's talk about basic knowledge. Basic knowledge, I sort of consider this the blocking and tackling of education. So it's a set of core competencies being taught in elementary, middle, and high schools in North Carolina around English, mathematics, science, and social studies. From the employer's perspective, this course of study would result in proficiency in basic reading, writing, and applied math that they've gained during the school years, and that are sort of the basics for the future and the basic skill requirements for those students. Life skills is the next category. So these are often considered as soft skills, but we wanted to break them down a little bit more. Those are things like motivation, responsibility, honesty, punctuality, personal accountability, flexibility and adaptability, and conflict resolution. So these commonly start in the family and in the community, but they can be reinforced through the educational curriculum throughout a young life. And I'll tell you a story. We do a lot of existing industry calls with companies in the market, and I was meeting with the site head for Pepsi Bottling Company, and he was struggling to find the talent that he needed. And he said, Adrienne, you know, if they know the difference between a hammer and a wrench, but show up to work and have those solid communication skills, he said, I can teach them what they need to know, and they'll end up making $75,000 a year with full benefits with my company over time. He said, but I need them to have those basic life skills so that I know that they will be a good employee for my company. So work skills, these are also very often reviewed or considered soft skills, but they are viewed as personal traits and are generally transferable between jobs. So these are things, and you hear a lot about this, and I know you all are doing a lot of work in this because I hear from my children all the work that you all are doing in this area, around teamwork, problem solving, flexibility, perseverance, and communication skills. So these are really important in innovation, creativity, leadership, selling and negotiation abilities. I see them with my team every single day. The ability to be flexible, the ability to be responsive to opportunities, to not be thrown off, to be able to navigate through challenges and collaborate in an effective way. These are so important to students' success beyond just those job skills, which are more of those specific skills that you get if you're becoming a welder or a radiology technician or a pastry chef. You're getting those very specific training for the task through technical colleges, four-year university, apprenticeship programs, and the like, those really important technical skills. But they're so much more successful as students, as we all know, if they also have those life skills and work skills. And then let's talk about future skills. So future skills are emerging as abilities that can add worth to the employee, especially in changing times. I tell you, the speed of business is just ramping up so quickly. Changes happen with technology, lightning speed, the culture of failing fast and moving on and being able to be adaptable in that, especially in a region like ours, which we'll talk more about, with a strong IT culture, a strong life sciences cluster, an emerging clean tech cluster, advanced manufacturing. The ability to apply these future skills, social intelligence, the ability to connect with others. It's why we have screen-free time at our house. It's why we practice handshaking and looking someone in the eye. It's why we practice some of those interactivity skills in our household. My kids go, oh, Mom. I'm like, do it. It is going to be so important for their future. Computational thinking, the ability to absorb and rapidly process data. And that's, you know, for some of us that's new, right? But it's so important. New media literacy, tweeting. Virtual collaboration, which, by the way, let's get this meeting trending. We can do that, it's a great tweet. Virtual collaboration, adaptive thinking, and mathematics. So many of these skills are gained during the school years, but then augmented as students continue lifelong learning. We're all continuing to learn, and that's not going to change. And so that adaptability is so important for meaningful careers in the future. So our focus is early business engagement is key. That work-based learning that all of you are about is so important. So again, I applaud you for the work that you do. Real opportunities in the workplace, I think, can be very eye-opening to students and can really put them on the path to their future, as we heard from Ahmad and Diana. From a jobs perspective, skills development is needed at the regional and state level, and we are certainly focused on that in Wake County, and I feel really privileged to work in this area because we have such a dedicated group of people focusing on these things. So let's talk a little bit about work in Wake County. So the regional journey to work here is throughout the region. This shows sort of the labor force flow in our region. You see how many people are coming in to our urban core. So 631,192 residents that live and work in the Triangle are traveling within the core of the Triangle. The average travel time is 24 minutes, most days. Every day, over 300,000 people commute into the urban core of the Triangle. So people are moving throughout. Our labor shed here is really a 15-county region. So this slide is interesting. It's a little busy, but these are workers commuting into Wake County. Wake County is the white dot in the center. The darkest green are where you've got 14,000 or more people commuting in. The next dark green is over 5,000 people commuting into Wake County. But then you see you have numbers on, the mountains and the coast and outside of the state. A lot of those folks are doing telecommuting, and I'll share some of the telecommuting numbers with you as well. But here are workers going out of Wake County. So you see we have a lot of people going into Durham and Orange and Mecklenburg counties from Wake County. That's no surprise. But it was surprising when we looked at this data to see how many people are going into halo counties around Wake County as well. And then the number of people telecommuting as well outside of Wake County into other counties in the state. So it goes to show that our workforce is very, very fluid. And as we move more into the gig economy, project-based economy, that ability for flexibility and soft skills is just going to grow. So our population currently in the region is 2.4 million. We had a growth of 11.1% between 2012 and 2017. We have 11.8% between 2017 and 2022. So we're not slowing down. Our growth rate is accelerating. That's a population increase of 283,200 people. We're growing by about 67 people a day. About 21 or 22 of them were born here a day. That's a kindergarten class a day. A lot of little people. So Raleigh's population has doubled since 1990, and this statistic is just staggering. Wake County's population has increased by 132% since 1990. So occupations by industry, we are fortunate that we're not a one-trick pony in this community. We have strong industry clusters. I mentioned a few of them already. In software and IT, you see that makes up 13% of our workforce. Life sciences is 11%, advanced manufacturing is in there at 10%, and then smart grid is only 3%, but it's growing rapidly. So those are companies like ABB, Schneider, Siemens, Trilliant is a new smart grid company that relocated their headquarters here from San Francisco. So a lot of activity in all of these industry sectors. We're the number 7 fastest growing large metro economy in the country, number 7 top hub for innovation, and number 4 city in the U.S. for fostering entrepreneurial growth. And we're seeing exponential growth in our entrepreneurship sectors with new funding coming in, which is really exciting. So we did a metro comparison study last year, benchmarking our community against 30 other metros across the country that we typically compete with, and looked at a lot of different data. We pulled out just a few pieces for you today. But I mentioned earlier the percentage of people working from home. You see ours is higher than Austin, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, and San Francisco. It speaks to the strength of our IT sector here. We're the fastest growing IT sector in the country. We're the second fastest growing metro in the country, by the way, just to sort of put those things in perspective. Population change, we already touched a little bit on that, but between 2011 and 2016 was a 12% population change. Unemployment rate, Raleigh is at 3.8% now, North Carolina is at 4.7%, and the US is at 4.4%. We have a tightening labor market. That is good news for any student coming out looking for a job. And if they have those skills, they will find great employment in this area. So total employment growth rate again for Raleigh was 16.8% compared to 17.9% in Wake County, 9.4% in North Carolina, and 7.6% in the US. This map, I just put this up as an example to show you the strength of one of our industry clusters. This is our life science cluster in Wake County, and really goes a little bit beyond Wake County to look at Johnston and Durham. If we're being holistic, we're including those other counties as well. So this represents over 500 life science companies in our market. We have a very robust life science sector here. That includes clinical research organizations, medical device companies, biotech, pharma, many different elements within the cluster are here. And I want to share with you a quote from one of those life science companies, David Smith, who's the HR lead. In general, all of our hardest to fill jobs have a technology component that is not widely used or is just breaking out. We also find that these areas are tough because we require folks to have good project management capabilities and the ability to work cross-functionally in a matrix environment. Some have the technology expertise, but have difficulty working on and leading these kinds of teams. So what does that speak directly to? Your 4 C's. It speaks to the importance of creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. They're critically important, and it's so exciting that you all are focused on those things as school leaders and business leaders in our community. It's what's preparing our kids for a successful future. It addresses the trust culture and the talent pipeline between parents all the way through educators in the workforce. It helps ignite the spark for our kids and carry that through to a successful career. It helps with skill development that is diverse and ongoing. It strengthens the workforce in Wake County, and for that we are very appreciative. And it shows a strong partnership between our education community and the workforce. Thank you so much for welcoming today and for all that you do.
Adrian, thank you very much. Great message and a little token of our appreciation for your efforts. Thank you very much. It's kind of interesting. Joy gave her a clicker. She won't let the rest of us pay. She won't give this to anybody else. She's a hard lady to work with, I tell you. Well, now I'd like to move on to the part of the program that's really exciting in terms of recognizing some of our business professionals that spend so much time and do so many great things. As is always the case, we got a lot of great nominations, and we try to narrow it down. And one of the things I shared with Joy was that I hope, and I don't guess I ever thought of this before, but I hope if the individual that was nominated and was not selected, I hope that you all at the local level are recognizing these people. We don't do this for the recognition. It's the fact that we enjoy doing it and know that it's making an impact. I'm the chairman of ACE Mentoring, which is a program for high school students. It stands for Architect, Construction, and Engineering. And we have mentors in all 3 fields. And I had a young architect, and I said to him one day, I said, his name is Zhu Chen, and I said to Zhu, why do you do this? I'm just trying to understand. And he said, I got rooked into it the first year helping a friend. And he said, as I thought about it, he said, I started to think about what kind of legacy will I leave when I leave this earth? And he's a young man, he's in his 30s. But here's a young man that's thinking about a legacy, and so many of the mentors and so many of you all think about these students. And as I've said the quote before, that I've adopted and love to use is that we're planting shade trees under which we'll never sit. So if the following individuals will come forward, Alan Davis, Glenn Day, Michelle Laird, Mike Ray, Karen Roth, Sheila Jones, Karen Snackoid, Anthony Krosnell. Sorry, Anthony, I think I messed it up. And Matt White worked with me, and I still quite botched it, so I apologize. And then well, I lost the note. I can't believe it. I've got 4 more people. Michelle with ABC, Maggie Weeks, Manny. Oh, thanks, Julie. After I gave the review, people bailed me out. Manny Ortez, John Reeves. Okay, come forward, please. So Alan is with Newcomb & Company, and he works with the Vernon Malone College and Career Academy. He's a very active member with the academy since it was opened several years ago. Has provided off-site learning experience at his company. I think Wanda called them field trips. And provided you the relevancy of what they're learning and how it applies to what they're learning in the classroom. He's provided paid internships for our students, and he's also recruited other companies to provide internship opportunities at the school. So, Alan, thank you very much. Next is Glenn Day. He's with Day One Appraisals, and he's the owner, and he works with Wake Forest High School. Glenn has been involved with the Northeast Regional Business Alliance and Wake Forest High School for 6 years. Glenn participates in most of the Wake Forest business events. He's volunteered his time to do mock interviews, soliciting and managing donations for the Northeastern Regional Business Alliance Conference, provided items for the conference and for the Youth Leadership Conference, which resulted in assembling over 200 packages which contained food and toiletries, which were then donated to the USO Rack Pack program. Glenn has worked with a visually impaired student back at Wake Forest High School back in 2013, and together they created a Bowling for the Blind event that's now held annually for visually impaired students, many of which have come from the Governor Moorhead School for the Blind. So, great job. Michelle Laird is with Wake Tech Community College, and Wake Tech is a great partner of Wake County Public Schools. We cannot operate without them. They do a fantastic job. Michelle has been engaged with Roseville High School since its inception in 2013. She's assisted in creating many events for the students, which has engaged the business community. These events cover such topics as business basic courses, which provided knowledge about financial literacy, social media etiquette, job search skills, etc. for over 700 juniors. She's provided the CDC a contact point to inquire about Wake Tech's Career and College Promise program, and she's recruited lots of volunteers for school as well as county events. So thank you very much, Michelle. Mike Ray with Experts Manpower works with the Wake STEM Early College High School. Mike serves as the chairman of the school's Business Alliance, has been involved in the school for the past 5 years. He leads the Business Alliance Summer Planning Retreat, so over the last 2 years, when everybody comes to school, they're ready to hit the ground rolling. He's introduced other businesses to the schools, and as a result has increased the work-based learning opportunities from 5 to 20 in 2 years. He's created and presented workshops to the school's juniors on future trends in STEM careers, and he's participated with the school in their advanced ed review for accreditation this past year. Mike led many conversations about the business advisory involvement, especially the Business Alliance tutoring program. One of the things that's kind of interesting is that one of the review team members commented as they were leaving or exiting, your business engagement in the education process is truly a valuable resource for your teachers, students, and a relevant model to replicate by all other schools and communities. Mike does a great job. Thank you. Karen Roth is with the State Employees Credit Union. You heard Diana talk earlier in her talk about the relevancy of money, how much she enjoyed that, and the State Employees Credit Union is another one of those businesses that is just really focused and worked with the Wake County school system over the years. And Karen is another one of those people that brings that passion to the school. She works with the West Millbrook Middle School, where Marisha Jones is the CDC. And many of you may not know this, but on the middle schools, the CDCs are not full-time CDCs. So the fact that they're doing all these great things, I think, is just a tribute both to the CDC and to the volunteers at West Millbrook and other middle schools as well. She recruits from the North Raleigh branches of the credit union to bring speakers and business volunteers to the school to talk with the students. She's been involved for 5 years as the chairperson of the West Millbrook Middle School Business Alliance. She's worked closely with the CDC to coordinate students at Work Week for the past 2 years, and she coordinates recruiting volunteer proctors for the end of grade testing. And I know many of you in here know how difficult that is. That is an unbelievable task, and if you've ever proctored, you're nominated for saying that. The other thing that's kind of neat about it is Karen's daughter actually goes to a different middle school, but Karen focuses on the middle school that is within her region of the State Employees Credit Union. So thank you for all you did. Now, when you look at the School to Career Council or the School to Career process, we've got 3 legs. It's kind of a 3-legged stool. We have the business alliances, and we just recognize people in that. Then we have the Career Academy Advisory Boards, and then we have the Career Advisory Teams. And so with the Career Academies, I wanted to call up Sheila Jones. She's with Wake Silton Water Conservation District. Debbie Massengale is the CDC there, and there's a reason I'm using Debbie's name. I'm going to give you a little intro in just a second. But Sheila's been working at Enloe for over since 1999. I guess I'm not good on my math, 18 years. In 2015, she came on the advisory board of the Medical Bioscience Academy, and she has brought more volunteers and more business experience to the table. And this year she was involved in judging the Lenovo app and assisted the team in preparing for their presentation in Dallas at the National Academy Foundation contest, where the Enloe team won the National Academy Foundation Award for the best app. But she has done a great job, and she has been there, and we appreciate all that Sheila has done. Thanks, Sheila. Now I want to stop for a second. We stuck a slide in here on the Enloe, on the Medical Bioscience Academy at Enloe. This past summer, they were recognized by the National Academy Foundation as the best academy in the United States in the Award of Excellence. I think oftentimes, because of so many good things that are going on in the county, that's not news. the news is all the bad stuff. And that's kind of sad because there's some great things going on. But in addition, if you look at the picture on the left, I guess, on the left, the students had just arrived in Dallas and had just gotten to the conference when they were notified that they had won this award. So they came up and were awarded that. And then the other picture is the one on the right, and it is the one that they were given the next day, where they were given the Best App Award. So not only were they Best Academy, those students developed an app, and it's kind of interesting. How many in here have taken CPR? Just about everybody. How many in here would leap out of their car and know exactly what to do if there was somebody that needed CPR? That's a good number. Well, what this group of students did was they developed an app, and so you can jump out of your car and go to an app after you tweet that you're going to the app, and it will show you how to do CPR. And so this group of students put this app together, and they were judged regionally by members from MIT, Lenovo Leadership, and NFA alumni. And then they had an online voting. They narrowed it to 5 apps, and then they had an online voting, and this group of students won for the best app. So really neat to see students in Wake County get this kind of recognition. So the next individual that we're going to recognize is Terrence McAway, who is an employee at Rex Hospital. And the neat thing about Terrence, and you can tell by looking at him, he's young, is that Terrence actually graduated from this academy, went to work, and now he's back. So he's chaired the advisory board for the last 4 years, and he's also, in addition to doing all this work and bringing speakers in and doing mock interviews and working with the students, he's also going to graduate school. And so he has got his plate full, but I think it's neat that we see someone who left and now is back supporting the students. So thank you very much. Anthony Cresnell is with Cisco, and he works with the Apex Friendship High School. He has served as the co-chairperson for the academy. He's assisted, and I said this earlier when we were talking about mentoring, in structuring a mentoring program with the juniors in the program, and recruited business professionals to come in and mentor. And I don't think there's anything better than students being able to talk and work with mentors in a high school environment. The mentors meet with the students on a monthly basis. They discuss networking, resume writing, how to interview, communications, and as a result of Anthony's involvement and what he's added, this program is extremely successful. He also has provided the seniors in the academy an opportunity for real business experience by creating the incubator startup, which has allowed the students to develop and pitch a business model. This process was modeled after the Triangle Startup Weekend. So, Anthony, thank you very much. So this year, we had something that was really phenomenal that happened in Wake County. And it happened through the work of the 4 people that are, the 4 people standing there. It started with Mr. Phil here and gentleman at Cary over the architecture program. And they started to look at what we can do to get some students engaged in some hands-on activity. And Michelle at ABC, who's the vice president, came forward, and as Phil said, Michelle is the completer. She's the lady that won't say no. If they need something, she goes and gets it. So what we've done this year is a little bit different, since we wanted to recognize this whole group is we've got one award for ABC for their work, and we wanted to present that to Michelle. So Michelle, if you come forward. And then they put a team together, and it was really kind of neat. What they did was they got all the drafting classes in Wake County, and they got an architect to work with them. And so they had all the drafting classes design a shed, and then it was judged, and the best shed design was selected. And then they got all the carpentry classes, and they took that one shed design, and then they built it. And they built it over at Cary High School. And it was really neat, as you see the pictures up there. But the thing that was really neat about it is that we're going to do it in 2 days, and it actually took 3. But the students came in on Saturday to finish. And I think that says a whole lot about our students. But the thing that was really fascinating to me was I got to go over and watch one day, just to see how it was all flowing, being an old construction guy. And there were parents there in lounge chairs. And they were watching their child build. And that just compressed the mud out of me. I mean, I was just blown away that a parent would come out and support his or her child in that fashion. There wasn't a football game going on. And the parents weren't yelling, drive it harder, cut it straighter. They were just there observing, and it was just really very touching just to see that. And so I think this team, Maggie is with Brassville Glory. Maggie and John are both with Brassville Glory. And Maggie is a project manager. And when I talked to Maggie that Tuesday that I was over there, she said she's built $1 million projects, but she thought this was one of the greatest things that she'd ever been involved in. Maggie, thank you. John, I could tell that John was a superintendent because they said he was the logistics guy. He made sure everything was where it needed to be, and they had everything to start the next day. So John was doing the planning and did a great job bringing it all together. And then Phil said that Manny, who's with Life Science, and John's with Brassville as well. Manny was the guy that had the vision of getting all the drafting classes participating. Manny's also wants to get the digital media people coming and looking at the different digital media academies to look at putting together a program and something that for posterity to see how this all works. So that is really great that all these folks have done this. Okay, now they didn't give me Jeff. Jeff, come on up. I'm sorry. So Brassville Glory played an integral role in this whole process, and it's great to see that the general contracting community, and one of the things that Joy and I talk a lot about is that when business community looks, and I've said this to people, your workforce is right out there. There's 160,000 of them. They're from kindergarten to seniors. And as we talk about in the business environment, the soft skills, you've got to develop the relationship. And we're seeing the construction community finally say, we got to go in and start talking to these students. We got to start working with these students. We got to start showing them that our industry has great potential for them. And that is what this group has done. So thank you very much for doing that. Taking that. Now, I've got one other lady that I didn't call up because she's pretty special to all of us. She has been involved with junior achievement for a number of years. And she's been working with the Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School, BB League. And BB's on our School to Career Council, and she brings so much to the table, and I think it's because she works with students all the time. She kind of understands the client. But I loved what John Garrity, the nominator, said, and as I read it, I said, only a man can come up with metaphors the way that we come up with metaphors. He said the experience that BB brings to these students is the difference between watching a small black and white TV and a 50-inch high-definition TV. And I mean, right away I had this image of things being so much better as a result of BB being engaged. So she has really brought a lot to the Southeast Raleigh students. They've gotten to go and one of the greatest things they did was go out to the airport with Delta, and Delta took them out on the tarmac, and they let them tour the planes, they let them tour the baggage claim, and so they're getting out. They've been over to GE Aviation. They've just been to so many places where engineering students can kind of get motivated and excited and see some of the things that we as engineers do day to day in our life experiences. So, BB, thank you very much for all you do. So, we have come to the conclusion of another Superintendent's Recognition Breakfast. Again, it was a great event. We had a lot of good people here. Really appreciate you all coming out. It ran smoothly, and as most people don't understand, oh, I got a message. Okay. So, as it's tough being old. You just lost the thought. It just came up. It just went right out of my mind. One of the things that I wanted to get back to real quickly, and I'll get back to the other is that with the CTE, you saw Wanda's notes about the graduation rate and how important and how critical CTE is. And those students that are engaged in CTE courses, we find that they are motivated because it's more relevant to them. And we had a late arrival, Senator Behringer, who has provided great support through our legislative process. So, Senator, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being here. But as we see with the CTE scores, getting the students engaged and getting them seeing the relevancy of what they're doing really makes a difference. And so we're excited that we're seeing progress. We're excited that we have a great administration in Wake County Public Schools. And it's made a complete difference what we've seen over the last 4 years in the growth of our students, and it continues to be a positive growth. And for that, we appreciate all the business involvement. We appreciate all the education involvement. And before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't say that this event goes forward as a result of Ms. Frankoff. And she's done a great job. And one of the things that Adrian said is you never know what's going to come from Bill's mouth. And she's right, and sometimes Bill doesn't even know what's going to come from Bill. But one of the things that's kind of neat about Joy, and one of the things that when I introduced Dr. Merrill and I introduced keynote speakers is, I don't like it to be just, they did this, they went to this school, they did this. You know they're smart people. They are where they are because they've done some good things. So I like to bring a little levity to the situation, or a little empathy, or a little compassion. But we had a school to career council meeting it's been a couple months ago, and I got this panic call one night, and it's from Joy. And Joy says, Bill, I can't be there tomorrow. And I said, okay. I said, we'll make it, don't worry. But Joy is really very passionate about what she does. So many of you may not know it, but Joy has 2 sons. And they both played baseball at Apex High School, and they both went to, I bet those are Apex High School people. And they both played baseball in college, one at Appalachian State and one at UNC Wilmington. And the son at UNC Wilmington, Seth, has played minor league baseball for the last 10 years. And so what Joy was telling me is that Seth had been called up and he was going to pitch the next day for the Chicago Cubs, and she had to leave to go to Chicago. And Seth pitched, and he gave up a home run. And Joy's comment to me was, he should have known not to pitch that low inside. Spoken as a true baseball mother. Thank you all for being with us. Have a great week. What? No, she said don't tweet that out about the baseball. When you leave, there is a flyer outside. I forgot on Extreme to get. I get them all mixed up. Great Expectations.